we are wrapping up the month again. Hello there, fellow viewer, my name is Gabriel, and today I'm going to be showing you my March reads. I was actually pretty surprised when I went on Goodreads and discovered that I actually read 5 books this month, simply because I thought this month was a reading crap month. I felt like I didn't read anything. And the 5 books that I read were actually full-length novels, some with over 400 pages. Kind of proud of myself. Although I'm a week into spring break, I haven't done all that much reading, sadly. The first book that I want to mention, I started reading right after I uploaded my February wrap-up, and I kid you not, I finished this book at exactly midnight on March 1st. I'm obviously counting this book. I was actually making the time to finish it after midnight so I could count it as a March book. You probably want to see it already. That book is 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. I know why you want to see it, because this cover is just completely beautiful. Can you take a moment to appreciate it? The cover for the sequel just came out and it matches, and it's just... people can buy these books simply for the work of art that is this cover. I thought that this book did match the cover. It was fun. I thought it had action. I thought it had romance. It was a very new thing to young adults, traveling between dimensions. I really think that worked. In case you're not aware, 1,000 Pieces of You is about a girl who goes after her father's murderer. This person is traveling between dimensions and she decides to follow him, jumping from dimension to dimension. I really enjoyed it. There are enough twists and turns to keep you interested. It's not something that I completely adored, but it's something that I definitely found enjoyable. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The second book that I finished this month was The Iron King by Maurice Duran. Let's hope that's right. This was something I was not expecting to like as much as I did. This is a historical non-fiction novel wherein we have events and people that actually existed in a novelized form, and I really enjoy this. The Iron King follows one of France's rulers, King Philippe IV, I believe. Do not quote me on this. I really enjoyed it because it really reminded me of one of my favorite shows, Reign. It vividly depicts the life in court, the life of the noblemen and the life of the princesses, the life of the royal advisors. There's so much intrigue going on between the rulers and between the soldiers and the military. It's really good. George R.R. Martin has claimed that this was his inspiration for Game of Thrones, and I mentioned this on Goodreads, but if this is the inspiration for Game of Thrones, then I don't have to be skeptical about going into that series anymore, because that is something I have been planning to pick up for a very long time. This book was actually divided into 2 parts. The first part being The Iron King, the second one, The Strangled Queen. I was about halfway through part 2 when I realized, Gabriel, this is a bind-up. Okay, this is a bind-up. I've already concluded The Iron King. I don't need to finish it, and I didn't. Really contrasted with the first one. The second part was actually pretty uneventful, so I did not feel guilty putting it down, especially since the book was like this thick. I had already finished The Iron King, which was 400 pages, so I did not feel guilty when I gave it back to the library unfinished. I also gave The Iron King 4 out of 5 stars. The third book I have to show you is Crewel by Jennifer Albin. I nearly dropped out of my bed when I saw this for free on Wattpad. This is a book that I had been really interested in. The only reason that I hadn't picked it up yet is because it sounded really confusing, and I was just not looking for confusing reads. But again, it was free, and I picked it up and I read it, and I actually liked it so much more than I was expecting. It's really sad that the Goodreads rating for this book are so low, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. Crewel is set in a dystopian society where we have this special group of women called the spinsters. The spinsters work on the weave of time and matter. This is where the confusing part comes in. The weave consists of vertical strands and horizontal strands, the horizontal ones being time, the vertical ones being matter. So they are the people who choose what goes where and when, basically everything. They are the people that choose when someone dies. They are the people that choose when a certain group of crop is ready to be harvested. It's very intriguing to read about, and I thought this book was so original. I was reading this and I thought, why don't people like this? Can you imagine this being a movie? It would be completely brilliant. You can counter my argument by saying this isn't a movie, this is a book, and as a book it didn't work out. Well, that's for you. I really enjoyed it. I do have to say the romance felt a little bit off in this book, but other than that, Crewel was great. I'm excited to continue with the trilogy. Don't know when I'm gonna get around to Altered or Unraveled. I'm not sure which is the second. Yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. To me, it was great. Around week 2, of March, you know. I had been reading, I read these 3 books, everything was going fine. And sometimes I'm in my room and I don't feel like doing anything. Not reading, not watching any of my favorite TV shows. I just want to watch a good movie. And I remember that there was this movie that came out a few years ago. It was all over the television. I found out that it was an adaptation of what people call one of the greatest novels, if not the greatest of all time. That movie was Anna Karenina. The thing is, I went into this movie completely blind. I only knew that it was about this woman who was married and cheated on her husband. That's all I knew. And then I came out of the movie completely shocked. It was just so depressing. Needless to say, I absolutely loved the movie. It stayed with me for much longer than movies usually do. I kept thinking about it and how and why and the characters and the story, and it was marvelous. I loved it. I watched the 2012 rendition, the newest one. It was so good, but there's a problem. The characters and the story stayed with me for a very long time again, and it really kept me from reading because I just couldn't get into any other story besides Anna Karenina. So I decided to do the following. Read Anna Karenina. I get to the book page because the book is free if you want to read it. It's 1,000 pages long. I have never read something quite so extensive as that. So here's the thing. I have been slowly but surely making my way through Anna Karenina. I'm about 30% through at page 400, and although that usually consists of a full novel for me, I'm still a long way from finishing it. I believe that I am going to be able to do this before summer maybe. I just know that this movie was absolutely phenomenal. It was so good, and the book is actually very great. I was worried the writing style would be too antiquated for me, but no such thing. I'm actually enjoying it. So Anna Karenina, just push that in there somewhere. The next book I finished was Alienated by Melissa Landers, and again I won this in a giveaway by Kat, book addict, and I'm really thankful. I've already thanked Kat so many times. Her channel is down below. You should really check out her videos. I really enjoyed Alienated. I thought it was so light, it was so quirky, and it was exactly what I needed after the heavy, feels-inducing Anna Karenina. You probably know what this is about. I'm not going to waste any time explaining it. It's science fiction-y, it has a lot of romance, and I really enjoyed it. It got 4 out of 5 stars from me. And the last book that I finished this month was Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo, and I love this so much. I finished Shadow and Bone late January, and I just could not stop thinking about Alina and about the characters. Every single thing about that book stayed with me, and I could not have been more excited to pick up Siege and Storm. I was not let down. I loved it. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic follow-up for Shadow and Bone. I love that in this book we have more of a political look into the Grishaverse, into Ravka. We have more of a war council feeling, basically political intrigue, and maybe this bored some readers, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I fell in love with the characters again. I really like the new ones that are introduced, and although I'm looking forward to Ruin and Rising, I feel like my thirst for the Grisha trilogy has kind of been quenched. I'm definitely not left with the feeling of, oh my god, I need the sequel, like in Shadow and Bone. You should really pick up Shadow and Bone. I really recommend it. Totally good. Set in a very original fantasy world that is so different from anything I've ever read. Recommend it. 4 out of 5 stars simply because I think that the shock of the awesomeness that is the Grisha trilogy has just kind of receded a little bit after Shadow and Bone, but I really like it. And I cannot wait for Ruin and Rising. So these were all the books that I have here to show you my March reads. I really liked the month of March in terms of quantity and of quality. As you can see, all of them got 4 out of 5 stars. I only didn't read more because of A, Anna Karenina, B, Marvel. I have been highly anticipating Age of Ultron, and I kind of reflected upon myself. I have not watched some pretty important Marvel movies. I kind of dedicated myself to watching Captain America, the First Avenger, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which I really enjoyed. I cannot believe I had been putting off Captain America for so long. Really sorry. Really enjoyed them. I had no idea they were that good. I watched Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, which also had never watched before, and although enjoyable, and the special effects were just out of this world, I really preferred Captain America. You know which side I'm going to be on in Civil War. I rewatched Thor: The Dark World, which Thor is my favorite member of the Avengers, one of my favorite superheroes of all time. Really really like the guy. I watched the whole of Agent Carter, which is a Marvel series that has been going on, and I loved it so much. It really hooked me. It's so sad that it might not get renewed for a second season. I also watched Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I honestly just finished catching up to it. I watched the whole first season and every single episode that's been out of the second season in little under a week. I know some of you probably going, meh, that's weak. And I know it is, but I got there. I really love this show. It's definitely what I'm looking for to get me pumped for Age of Ultron.
Woo, enough of Marvel.
Thank you so much for watching, for sticking with me till the end if you're still here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you stick around for more. Stay tuned for my next videos, and remember to keep your day a bookish one. Goodbye!